this whole thing about the spacing with the paragraphs, you do, so you're supposed to do a curly bracket %P, and then your condition, and then close it, and then put whatever your paragraph in there. Then you do a closing, a P end, a P end if, and then you do another one. And so they should each be unique paragraphs that replace each other, so you don't have lots of extra spaces. I'm not sure that's working terribly well in tables. I've just been taking the TRs are working, but the Ps I haven't quite figured out. But yesterday, I was almost certain that Jonathan had said, this was like 4 years ago when Lily and I were working on it. If you're doing a numbered list, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but what was happening is, now I can't remember what was happening, but it wasn't working. I'm suddenly thinking maybe I should have put an LI in instead of a P. Maybe that's what was screwing. I don't even remember what it was, but I suddenly thought I had P's in there. Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe I should have put an LI in. I had P's in.
I don't think there's a %LI. It's just %P, and then there's %TR or TC.
Right. So I did. So basically, it was in Word. It's a numbered list. And let me see if I can find the old version of it. I might have just written over it.
I think you have to format it as a numbered list.
I did.
And I think there might be an option to say continue from last. You know what? I don't even know what the problem was. So I'm gonna let you show us now.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it, because I spent forever on it because I thought, I'm so clever. I know that I need to do this, and it didn't work. So I just took out the freaking P tags, and it worked. I mean, the P inside the the curly bracket %. So what am I doing? Oh, wait a minute. Let me just get there. I know how to get there. Wait a second. I think I know how to get there. Holy moly. Think A interviews. Okay. Changing child support. I think that's right. Changing child support action plan. I think it was it filing? Let me think, it was filing. I can't even remember the step. I spent all afternoon yesterday on it. And I finally thought, I'm just going to take out these P tags. What the heck? Okay, let's see if this is it. So this is, let me see. I'll flip my screen because it's boring otherwise. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. This one?
It's okay.
Screen, oh, it's screen 2 I want. Okay, share. All right, let me see if I can find this now. Pages. It was definitely a numbered list. I thought, nope. Ah, here it is. Is it this one? Yeah, look. So in here, can you see this? I can make this, this is 100%. 100%. That's 100%. Wow, okay, 2 pages. Oh, it's because I did multiple pages. Can you see this? Is this big enough for you to see this 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are, this one is a variable because I wanted to bold it. For some reason I couldn't bold it inside the string. So I mean no, wait a minute.
What
yeah,
it's
the one above. It's the one above. Yeah. So if you decide that that's the condition, and then I had to bold the motion to set aside, it wouldn't let me, the variable wouldn't let me bold something inside it. So I had to put that in there. So here's the condition for this paragraph. And if I put a P in here, because it's inside a numbered list, it didn't work. Now I can't
Yeah.
remember what. I can't remember
Well,
why.
I think the issue is that it's inside a table.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can combine %p inside a table.
Okay, that makes sense. Although this is oh, maybe not.
Can
Oh,
you use a
that's
2-column layout instead?
yeah, sorry, Quentin.
Could you use, well, sorry, this is jumping right to a solution, but it may
Yeah.
not be the right solution. Could you use a 2-column layout instead of using a table?
Oh, wow.
Like in Word, there's
Yeah, no, I know what you
columns.
mean. Yeah.
Then you should be able, if you
I-
did that, you'd be able to use,
Right.
yeah, but I guess the problem there is like that flows top to bottom and you're trying to have the content side by side. That's not really the same thing.
But
You-
she does
Yeah,
have a P
that's
above there.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, honestly, I'm under a deadline now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and I've got
Okay.
all of them set up as tables. And I think the other thing is they're rows. So if you do I need rows because certain rows get called. Maybe I could do that as paragraphs. I don't know. I mean, it's
All right,
definitely
well,
something to think about.
Here's
going-
another option, which is
Mhm.
not as clean or easy to read, but it might be a faster thing to change with your current code. If you, instead of using %p and having it on its own line, you can put the %if on the previous line, then the carriage return, the paragraph mark is part of the if statement.
Right.
So it's fully contained in there. And it just looks
Yeah.
messier and harder to read, but
Yeah. I
will
think that
work.
I did that in
Okay.
another one because I was getting I'll show you. I mean, I was well, I don't have to show it to you, but basically I was definitely getting that. And I think I may have to take out this P and if here. I
you
think
probably, you do,
I think
yeah. All the
probably the
% keys
solution
probably
here,
should
I
remove.
should probably just do this.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain because then you get all this weird space there.
So just to clarify, like, I think you get at what I'm saying already, but yeah, like, so here, scroll down a little bit. Well, I think that you had one that would be a good example. Okay, yeah, here. So you would move, instead of having
Did you put
line
your thing
5,
somewhere? I don't see when you say here, where are we talking about? Oh, there. Okay,
just
yeah.
hadn't finished drawing yet.
Yeah,
You'd move that up there.
yeah,
And yeah, then
Right.
like the if would be part of the previous
Yeah.
bulleted item.
yeah. Let me
That's
do-
how you used to have to do it in hot docs. That was like
Yeah.
the option I think they have in hot docs.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
As
that
far
was,
as,
go ahead, Michelle.
I just wanted to say, as far as bolding a variable, I believe you can't bold it just inside the curly brackets.
That's
I
right.
believe you have to bold also the curly brackets.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't need this to be bold. What I wanted was the variable. That's true. Yeah, the whole thing you're saying that whole thing has to be bold, right?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
whatever it is that
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
have put up
So-
above there.
Yeah, that I know that the problem here was that if I also had a motion to set aside, so like I have this motion to enforce or file motion to enforce, I had a file motion to set aside. But when I defined it, I couldn't, and it would have been if you decide that a motion to set aside fits your case, this motion to set aside has to be bold, but I couldn't.
Yeah, you would have to split it into parts.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I just put the condition in here. Okay, so that's helpful to just have like validation that, yeah, the %p doesn't work inside a table, which is sort of, I knew that. I didn't know that, but I was goofing around and got it to work before with these paragraphs where I had extra space. I took the p's out, so that's good. Let me just, I want to take this over here. If I, will this make that, I've made my code blue. Will this 5 be blue now?
Hmm.
Let's see.
Let me see if I can. It's always, yeah, it's, shoot. If I do this, it's probably gonna make the 4 blue. Wait a minute, 4. See if I can do it. Nope, no. Shoot. It's, wait a minute. I think it's because this is somehow, you know, it's sometimes at the end of things. Let me see if I can format this. There, okay. And then it's because it's probably getting the very last character is why it's. No. Anyway, yeah,
Got a little
don't worry about
weird.
that. I'm not gonna, okay. So then my other question is, do I have it here somewhere? Changing playground project. File modifying field. This is the one I want. Playground, changing and enforcing. Here it is. Okay, so here's a variable. It's the same, it's that same piece. Because the thing is, we filed 15 motions, so we use this step all over the place. But if you're filing a motion to modify, not a motion to set aside, not a motion to reconsider, and not some other motion, I can't remember what it is. You don't want this thing that I was showing you in the Word document in there, the filing fee. There's no filing, there's only a filing fee for certain motions to modify. So here's let me pull this Word document back up so you can see what it's actually supposed to look like. Pay the $75. So when I define that variable, I get all of this. Oh, wait a second. That's not supposed to be 5. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry. I'll forget this. Okay, forget the or there. Let me see if I can unbullet that. If it'll let me do that. Yeah, okay. So this thing, pay the 70. So from here, so 4 to the end if, 4 to the PDF is that variable. So this, in the Word document, I don't care. The Word document is just going to go in there, that's fine. But for the accordion, where I use the steps over and over again, I can get all of this except, I've lost the link here. There's supposed to be a link here. But the Family Law Self-Help Center, it looks like the syntax breaks. When I Family Law Self-Help Center, and I think fill in PDF is the, I don't see, is that the, yeah. Just this should be, I've lost that. So I have this bit here. That seems to work. I mean, it does work. I tested it. But as soon as I put the URL in HTML, I get a syntax error. But what I'm wondering is, what I haven't tried, I ran out of time before we met. Do you think if I put single quotes here, and what I'm wondering is,
Yeah, I think you got to match the single to double quotes probably.
Yeah, so if I do a single quote here and here, then I can use the double quotes in the
Yes.
HREF.
Or vice versa. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
can you use single quotes in the HTML HREF?
Yeah.
You can, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. That I didn't realize you could do that. Okay.
There's another option is to to quote, to escape the quote. So if you use a backslash.
Oh, you can do that in whatever we're in here. What are we in?
In a Python
This is
string.
Python code
This
here.
is Python. I see. Okay, right. So the backslash is that one, right?
It escapes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would
So
escape that.
backslash and then a quote is what you would do.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But only if you're stuck needing to escape, right? Don't
Right.
do
Yeah,
it
right.
now
If
If
you
you
with a
can
wanna
use
use-
double.
single quotes and double quotes and that solves it, then just use that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So if you need
Yeah.
like 3 layers, then
Yeah,
escaping it
Right.
might be a good choice.
right. Like if I had if I had an apostrophe in here or something,
Right.
right?
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, maybe it's worth doing it just to avoid that happening later, but you don't have to worry about it. But unless you're like, yeah, maybe I'll add that later and forget.
Yeah.
There's one more kind of quote in Python, which is triple quotes.
Oh, yeah.
It can be double or single.
Oh,
And
so you
that would
could,
give you
so if
another
had three
option to
layers,
vary
you
the
could do
style.
triple quote. So I could do, in theory, I could do triple quotes for the definition of the variable. I could do double quotes for the href, whatever you call that, link or destination or whatever. And then I could do single quote for apostrophe, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good to know. I'll probably forget it, but maybe if I come up with it. So that's really helpful. I just wish I had figured out that well, the other thing I spent all morning on was because I had pasted something somewhere and I was in a hurry last night. I put the ginger into the Mako, so of course that broke. And I saw it last night. I was trying to, get out of here. So I thought, oh, that's no problem. I'll fix that when I come in. So this morning I came in and I, changed all the curly bracket quote, curly bracket to just not curly bracket quote, curly bracket percent sign. So I took all those out, just put percent sign. It didn't work. And I was taking stuff out and putting it in finally after forever. I had just done a typo. I put 1 equal sign instead of 2.
No.
But it meant that I went back and I have that code in both the YAML and the Word document. So I know I needed a double quote and it's like, but still sometimes it's just time to stop,
Yeah.
Oh my God. And who was it, Matt, who was saying he has 8,000 lines of code in one YAML?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So
Right. Okay, so I got one more question, unless you guys want to, do you guys have stuff?
No, that's right.
Okay, so my other question, this is going back to this is probably the best place to go. So I think this YAML, yeah, I think this came from the Weaver. Yeah, it did, right? AL Weaver version. Okay, so can you remind me so we have this changing child support interview. Okay, and then we have a changing custody interview. In Alaska, if you want the court to change, if your child support changes because you're changing your parenting schedule, you can, in other words, you can't, let's see, you can modify child support. But if the schedule changes, you actually have to you have to file a motion to change custody, and the child support is within that. And then, so if you're going to go back to court and you're going to change your child custody, this is what it is. If you're going to change child custody, or if you're going to change child support, and it's going to take a long time, you can ask for an interim order. Is this right? Yeah. So I have the interim order in the asking for child support. I want to pull the interim order questions into changing and these other interviews. So
there's no way to conditionally include the questions. Unfortunately.
But if I had up here, if I change so basically it's not in changing child support or changing child custody, but if I brought in the child support, let's see, I've closed it. I don't think I have it.
Yes, you always include everything with the way that DocAssemble include statement works. It always includes it. There's no way to make it conditional. But what you could do is link.
If I included the file up here, right, in the YAML, and then had the questions, took the variables from the questions I need in there.
You could make the questions conditional. Depending on how many you have, that might be really annoying or really easy.
Yeah.
You could also have two versions of the YAML file that include different questions and then launch them as a link rather than trying to have it be included in the other YAML file.
You would go to the other interview when you say include.
Go to start another interview. Yeah, I don't know if that would work for your situation or not. It might not.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, that's what we're doing right now.
But you could,
go ahead.
the interview that everything else needs to include could have its own interview order block that you could trigger in this thing, as long as it
That's a
doesn't,
good idea.
as long as it doesn't have a mandatory code block in it,
Yeah.
that should be fine.
Oh, right. So basically I could have a block that's just interview order for, so it's confusing.
Right.
The interim
Like a child
order. The interim child support order could have its own interview order block. And
Yeah.
so if I included that YAML and then just use that block for ordering the interim order question, court order, court order question, an interview order block, right? That's a really good idea, Michelle. I think that's probably a good way to do it. And the thing is, these, when you include these, they have to be installed on your server, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. They have to be on there because it
Right.
tries to do this before it does anything else in the interview.
Yeah. And it will be, because all of these are going to be installed on the server anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have to make a note of that one, because that one I may not remember. I think that's a really good solution. Right, in theory at this point, till I try and do it in practice.
in theory.
Okay, so include installed package YAML. Child support YAML. Child support YAML. Non-mandatory. As an interview.
And no,
It might just be the whole child support interview, frankly. Because you might, yeah. Well,
and what's really important is no mandatory block.
yeah. Well, I think typically in an interview, at least my level of interviews, I think I only have one mandatory block. That
Yeah, but usually each file has a mandatory block, and that specific file would not have a mandatory block.
each YAML block has a mandatory block?
No. Often in most of our interviews, have a mandatory block. One, right.
In the whole interview.
Right. So the child support YAML has one file. Usually in each file, we have a mandatory block. That file would not contain a mandatory block. It would count
You're saying file. Do you mean file or interview?
Child support YAML. I mean file. Sorry.
Okay, so we don't each
child
file, like my accordion
YAML.
files don't
Exactly.
have mandatory blocks.
So it would be like that. Exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I didn't realize you had a mandatory block in each file in your interviews.
No, it's just most of the time when people are making these from the Weaver, they have automatically a mandatory block. Not a lot of people are working with multiple files. So
I see.
sometimes
Gotcha.
people forget that. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm good for 1,000 hours more of work and trying to. I mean, I know I'm trying to. It's just the thing is, if I can get some of these interviews done, the others can just use the same thing, and it's just hard to know how much to customize them and how much to share.
Abstract them. Yeah.
Because honest to God, some people like to go in and change. Oh, I want to do it, we have to have this thing done by a certain time, but let's say it this way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, not have it be too complicated going back and forth, but at the same time, well, that's a great, I'm really pleased about the being able to put those that HREF in there, HREF. Yeah. Okay, I think we're good. And then I'll probably have, it's gonna be, ultimately, that's the thing with family law. I suppose it's like the thing with eviction, Quentin, is that I just want the same, they're all related to each other: custody, child support, divorce, all that stuff. So you just want to keep the same variables from interview to interview, because basically
Right.
it should just be one huge family law interview.
Yeah.
That's true.
They still don't have to do one big housing interview, but but eviction, family law is like eviction, I think, in terms of how everything's connected.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I think,
Yeah.
didn't Mark, or no, it was that was Alan somebody, wasn't it, who did the caps before Capstone was Capstone, did a big family law package. I think GBLS was using it. You remember that in hot dogs?
Oh, yeah. When I was at GBLS, there was like a hot docs package for family
Yeah.
law, but they had switched to turbo law which now
Yeah.
got bought by.
But
another
the A
company.
to J author hot docs people were floating that around for a while.
Mm.
And I think somebody was actually using it. I think the guy I think he died, so they couldn't. Yeah, but it was I looked at it, it was a really good package. It was for lawyers though, so.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out who bought turbo law. It was like a recent purchase a few years ago.
Turbo
Leap.
law.
It's owned by Leap now, which is.
Is that legal something? Legal?
Leap must stand for something legal.
Something legal. Something legal, something program. Automated program.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, I know some people who are on it aren't
Okay.
that excited about it anymore after it got purchased, but okay.
So anyway, that's my list.
All right.
Nice.
Michelle, anything? You're still sharing your
So
screen, by the way, Caroline.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm moving repositories over to version 5. I made a PR on Made for version 5.
Oh, let me
It's very simple. It's tiny. I just didn't want to
Is this for
merge
Kiln,
it without
Michelle?
permission.
Or
Yep,
something?
this is for Kiln.
Yeah.
There's problems with some of our assembly line stuff, mostly because the test server keeps timing out. And so it's just really hard to tell the signal from the noise at the moment. Bryce has made some progress. I don't know if I want to tell his progress, but on some efforts that might help with that, which I'm really excited
speeding
about.
it up. In other words,
No, I wish speeding up the whole thing, but he's working on, making just a Docker container to run the tests on, right? Like a whole brand new.
So you'd run it somewhere else.
So each one's independent. In other words, so you're not
Each one's
running it on the one
independent.
test server.
Yes, he's working on that and he's made some
Yeah.
progress. And I didn't want to give the news, but now I've given the news. So
That's fine. Does this require some upstream changes to doc assemble?
not so far. It would be faster if there were upstream changes, is my understanding.
Because there's some
But-
assumptions it makes that, like, assume you're on a Helm chart or something like that, or that
I'm
you
not
might
sure
be.
the details,
Yeah. Okay.
but Bryce can probably speak more to those. That's super exciting. There's still some complications which Bryce can also speak to. You know what? I should just leave this to Bryce. I'm just excited about it. That's all.
Well, that's good. I don't think
Yeah.
he'll mind that you say that.
Yeah, but he's not here to talk about like the pros and cons of the various things, and like, because he's the one who knows it the
Yeah.
best. So I don't want to talk about like those. So that's super exciting. So that might make those more possible to move on to version 5. The one of the Alaska ones is failing because it's looking for the word placeholder, which doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah, that's, that's an old.
Yeah, I
If you
just
tell me which one it is, I can push the newer repository to that.
okay. Then there are
I don't
changes
remember
because
which.
I don't like to merge failing tests. That's all.
No, I totally
So,
agree.
yeah.
No, I think I was working on that this week. So just tell me which interview it is, because I've commented it out, but it should be,
Sure.
yeah.
I
It's
think
either
that's-
changing child support or changing custody, I think, but maybe it's not. I don't know what it is. I was looking at the
Changing
one-
child custody.
changing child custody, right? I
So
can, yeah,
yeah, because if the tests are already failing, then it's hard to tell whether version
right, of
5
course,
is
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
fail, right?
yeah.
So the another one that's having trouble is the 209A ones, but that seems to be because of something that I might be able to take care of. I don't know. There seems to be a variable missing, which is weird because the tests without the version 4 or 5 seem to, I don't know how they passed and these tests are failing, because they seem to be failing because of a variable, but, and now my computer is crashing, so I may get disconnected. And that is, I can't look at it now because that's stuck. Not 209A. Some super old one is failing. And it's not failing. It's on version like 1 or 2 of Kiln. And it's, yeah, I don't know, wanted to check what the status of it was, but now I can't because
This is the 209A you're talking about?
No, she said something else.
A
Not
different one, not, okay, different ones on version 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Do you have any memory of what, it was on the Suffolk Lit Lab somewhere?
yeah. And I had it open.
Probably hard to
But-
say specifically what the status is, I guess.
Yeah.
But if it's
but
one you didn't
super
know
old.
about, it's probably not being. It's been changed in a while.
I think its tests are passing. I just think that it I just wondered what its status was, because whether it was worth updating it, because that'll just take a bunch of so that's the status of updating. Oh, can I open it now real quick before everything fails and shuts down? Come on.
Yeah, well, no worries. I mean,
Help for child support obligors.
Oh,
that's yours. That is a
that's
live one.
fun.
Mass
Yeah,
legal help. That's mass legal help. Sorry.
yeah.
So I think that one's passing. I think it's just super old, and I wondered what we're doing with that.
Did that ever get
because I
moved to
think
Suffolk
new-
server,
new
Quentin?
tests didn't pass or
I
something.
believe so.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, because there's no, Mass Legal Help doesn't want to run any server anymore. I think we moved everything over.
Yeah.
If we didn't, we should be able to at some point.
Yeah. So it was,
I
let me
wonder how much
see.
that's getting used.
Let me see if that's
That's the
passing.
one I started and kind of got lost. Well, we all worked on it, and then Bryce kind of
Yeah.
got it to the past the finishing point, or at least a set MVP.
It is on the Suffolk server, yeah.
It is, okay. Oh, so maybe you're not, maybe I wonder what the GitHub account is, whether it's still on Mass Legal Help or whether it's on,
It probably still is on Mass Legal Help, despite
Yeah.
that.
So
Can you remind me, so with the when you're now that I'm so hooked on testing in the playground all the time,
yes.
I just push, as long as you have tests in as long as you have feature files in your sources folder, if you push to GitHub, and you have AL Kiln and stuff, you have AL Kiln it. How do you make sure it tests on when you push to GitHub?
You do the setup interview.
On your server?
You have to actually create a file inside the .get folder of your top level repository. And one way to add that is .github rather. One way to add that is with a setup interview that Michelle created.
Right.
So you have to actually tell the repository with a special file to run the tests.
When you say, so are you saying when you say your top level file, that's in your interview or in your
It's in the GitHub repository.
Which you've pushed it. I mean, the repository.
Remember you come to Suffolk Lit Lab, the setup interview, and you go through and you say, I'm an admin or I'm not an admin. You say, this is the, okay, so
it's something that's on GitHub. It has nothing, I mean, you set it up in your GitHub kind of account type of thing.
GitHub calls it a workflow file. Yeah. And so
okay, right. So it's in a GitHub, it's in your GitHub. It's not something you have to do with individual interviews.
Right.
Once your GitHub is set up, then it just will run it, right?
Though for target variables, it's important that you also add a part to your interview that is able to help the
and just do that.
It only really matters if you're changing the pre area, right? If you use the assembly line and you don't
use assembly line, it shouldn't matter.
You don't care about that part. If you've turned off like the debug information, for example, then you might have to specifically add the thing Michelle's talking about to get those tests to run.
So
if you're not using not using AL Visual or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you when you get to when you finished version 5 of AL, we're on pre 5 or something now, right? Is that right?
We're on 5.
Oh, we're on
5.2, I think.
Okay, so because I have my GitHub set up, or my organization GitHub set up so it can do AL Kiln. When you upgrade the AL Kiln to the next version, will that happen do I have to do something?
In your playground?
No, on my
in GitHub?
Yeah.
No, I mean. So no, you won't. I'll do the same process. It's okay.
What do you mean you'll do the same process? I mean, does one. So if other people are using AL Kiln, she's frozen. No, she. So if other people are using AL Kiln, just like every time you update AL Kiln, do the people who are using it have to do something on their GitHub account? So AL Kiln. No. Okay. All right. That was my question.
There to do it.
Say that again.
When we move from like version 4 to version 5, or version 5 to version 6, but that doesn't happen. And I will tell you, and I will do this same process that I'm doing now with the pull requests and the.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand what we need to do. Just get the big picture of it. So, okay.
Thing. It's not that it never has to happen, but it doesn't usually have to happen.
Right. So you do have to do it. One does have to do it sometimes. Update your GitHub account.
Yep, just like I did this time.
I don't even remember that.
Okay.
Michelle's basically made pull request everyone's interviews, so that's why you hadn't.
Oh, so that's what you were. Oh, when you said you don't have to do anything about this, I did a pull request and I can just merge it. That's what you're talking about. You were upgrading it on my GitHub account.
Yep.
Ah, got it. Okay, I did not know that. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And that's it from me, I think.
All right. And then I don't think I have anything I need to report on this call this week for me. So just kind of catching up from coming back from vacation and dealing with some grant related stuff. So
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
All
we
right.
are meeting Monday, right?
We are meeting Monday. There's no holiday as
Oh.
far as I know on Monday, and no one's out besides David, actually, I guess.
Yeah. So actually, I did want to ask this thing. So we talked in the management meeting about this whole, what we're going to do about the AL income, and this third level.
Mm,
Michelle,
mhm.
do you understand that well enough that we can work? Because Jack's ready to come back on Tuesday, they said. Are we ready to try and tackle that on Tuesday?
Yeah, it's probably better if I try and tackle that if I can remember before then, if I can get it done. I might not be able to, but
Okay.
before, from what I understand, though, we're going to need more input on exactly how it has to be managed. So whether it's just an item that needs to be listed, right? So it needs to be both an income and an, remember, from employer paid expenses.
Yeah, I thought I got the concept, but I didn't get the details. So,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure about.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure about it. So I just,
Sure.
if you, I don't even know, I can't even follow the language. So
Yeah.
I guess the
Well,
thing is,
that part is just about not even the code. It's just that, is it an income? Is it an expense? Is it both? You know, what is that?
Yeah.
That
Right.
or
I
maybe
mean, we
someone
could, I
from
mean,
their
I'd like to
organization.
try that thing because there was the to add and to subtract. And then there was this other thing, AL expenses, right?
Mhm.
At the,
That was,
at the
we're
same
not,
level.
yeah, we're not going to do anything with to add or to subtract. We're going to change the format of our questions. The only special thing is for which we need to know if they are an income, an expense, or both.
Mhm. Okay. So maybe I can ask Jack and Chris about the employer paid expenses. How do they, and they'll, I mean, Jack will probably know. I'm not sure Chris will know.
Yeah,
Do they, how, is it always income?
expense, right.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing for those we have that employer paid expenses where there were sort of user added things under employer paid expenses. And then I'm trying to remember if the deductions, I think the deductions already work so that users can add more deductions as well per employer, which to me is the same concept, but maybe that isn't right. I may be wrong about that, but I think that's the way it works. So I think deductions, because you can have all kinds of things deducted from your paycheck that we are not going to, there are going to be other deductions, and it would be per paycheck. I mean, per employer is what I mean.
Mhm.
So to me, that works the same way as employer paid expense. If you're saying employer paid expenses is only income. Yeah.
So we can treat them in a similar way if we want things with categories,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they're not like hourly, I think.
Yeah, they're not going to be hourly.
Okay.
They're going to be a set amount according to the paycheck.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to check with you. That's what I was thinking. I didn't feel like we were sort of clear enough after our conversation on Monday to jump into doing it with Jack and Chris. But if you feel that you can do that,
I hope to like try it out a little bit on my
Yeah.
own and mess with it a bit on my.
okay. All right. Well, let me know if you want to.
It's technical, but some of it is
Yeah, exactly. You need to know what it is you're trying to do.
financial, you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
So,
I'll see if I can find out from anybody. Oh gosh, oh my God. What's the name of the person at GBLS who had the baby who was doing the family law stuff with us?
Hey,
Kate, right. She would know. What time is it there?
117.
1:17. Is she back at GBLS now?
Yeah, that's been a while.
I'm
yeah,
gonna
we've
ask
been in
her
project.
about that. I don't know that Massachusetts financial statement has that, but it would be helpful if they do have it, to ask her how, what do they count if we do ask it, what do you do that as an expense as well,
Mhm.
and do you have to ask them, how do you have them? I think we'll have to ask some of Chris's SMEs.
Oh, yeah, that's what yeah. And that's what I'm saying is maybe today.
Because we don't know where on the form they need to enter that
Right.
information.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying is if we ask Jack, look at Maine and see if they have it. And I mean, we could also put a question in grant partners. We could say, do any of you have a financial statement that asks for employer paid expenses? Could you get back to us about how you work with that? And then we can ask them direct questions rather than trying to formulate questions in teams. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do that right now. And I'll try and get in touch with Kate. I don't know, my brain can't remember anything.
Yeah. I'm thinking of trying those lion's mane nutritious shrooms.
More magic.
That's right.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna do that now. And I'm like, it's because Jeannie wants to get this child support guidelines affidavit out the door by October 1st. But she
Okay.
seems to think that Melissa's gonna get the domestic violence thing done by then. And I think it's a little ambitious to do a domestic violence petition in a month as your first docket sample interview. So,
Highly recommend against that.
yeah, no, but I mean, so what, that's what's happening. So, but I'm thinking if they want to get started on it before I have time to do it, she can just label the PDF or label the docx, because that's time consuming. It gives me a little bit more time to finish these blinking interviews. So, okay. That's me. Are you guys gonna go on with Casual Friday? Are you gonna?
I might hang around a little bit.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna hop off. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Quentin, when are you